2025, the disturbing truth about education in America is this: approximately 65% of eighth graders are not reading on grade level. Year after year, students struggle to reach grade level benchmarks, especially students with disabilities who are supposed to be receiving a special education. The consequences are serious. High poverty rates plus poor education equal higher incarceration rates. A large number of state and federal prisoners have learning, physical, or cognitive disabilities, with overall disability rates among prisoners reported at approximately 40%. Prisoners are far more likely than the general population to struggle with low literacy. The problem is this: many of us have not been trained to clearly distinguish interventions from specially designed instruction. When we understand education accurately, and when we understand the true purpose of special education, we can change these outcomes. We can interrupt these patterns instead of repeating them. For anyone committed to improving the quality, clarity, and outcomes of children's education, the Special Education Podcast is for you. This docuseries answers one critical question: what is the purpose of special education? Not what people assume it is, but what it's actually designed to do. The purpose of special education is to provide. Welcome to the Special Education Podcast. I'm your host, Gilbert Banks. You probably remember what it felt like to struggle with at least one subject at school, whether it was math, physics, chemistry, that frustration, and then that one teacher who finally made it click. And when you think about it, that's something most of us have experienced. Just because we weren't good at every subject or failed a test or even failed a class, we didn't quit and our teachers didn't give up on us. Instead, they tried different ways to teach us. Some of us went home, studied harder, practiced more, and figured it out. What I just described to you is a very simplified version of how general education is supposed to work. When any student has difficulty learning, they're supposed to receive help and support. That's the entire reason we send children to school, to learn. And learning requires support. In education, help and support have a formal name: interventions. Interventions are provided by general education teachers. They're tiered: tier 1, tier 2, oftentimes tier 3, with each tier increasing in intensity and explicit instruction. We won't go deep into tiers today. What I want you to take away from this is simple. Interventions are designed to help all students when learning becomes difficult. All of us need help and support at some point. This image represents the majority of our society. On one side of the brick wall, you have a general education student. On the other side of the brick wall, you have a general education teacher teaching the general education curriculum. The brick wall represents learning difficulties, those lessons or subjects that gave you trouble. The hole in the wall represents something important. The student can still access the general education curriculum with regular help and support, aka interventions. Even if learning is difficult, and even in some cases, if a disability is present, this is what most students look like. They do not require special education services because they can still access the curriculum with interventions alone. Schools are required to provide this support through tiered interventions for all students. This process is called RTI, response to intervention. You hear intervention language all the time: small group instruction, graphic organizers, checklists, highlighters, videos, role playing. The list is as long as a great teacher's imagination. The key point is this: despite learning difficulties, you were still able to learn the material because of interventions. The general education teacher adjusted instruction until it worked. That's what the hole in the wall represents. And let me be clear, we've all experienced this. And yes, straight eight students too. You too. No one made it through school without struggling somewhere. One major problem in our education system is that many of us, educators and parents, do not fully understand the crucial difference between interventions and specially designed instruction, which is what students in special education are legally required to receive. We'll go much deeper into this later. For now, I want you to put that in the parking lot. Just remember this key fact: general education students receive interventions when they struggle. Special education students, in addition to those same interventions, must receive specially designed instruction. One thing that has always amazed me as an educator is that even though RTI and SDI are represented by different acronyms, many educators treat them as if they are the same instructional approach, and they're not. I mean, isn't it obvious? RTI, SDI, aren't the letters different? In practice, they can look very similar and they often overlap. And we'll unpack that throughout this podcast. But they serve very different purposes. Understanding the distinction between intervention, response to intervention, and specially designed instruction is imperative, because without that understanding, special education simply cannot work the way it's supposed to. Once you understand the difference between interventions and specially designed instruction, a lot of what feels broken in special education suddenly starts to make sense. Without specially designed instruction, special education isn't happening. Interventions are designed for all students. In contrast, specially designed instruction is only for students classified with disabilities that substantially prevent access to the general education curriculum and require special education services. Specially designed instruction must be designed by a licensed special educator. Let's recap. All children are in school to learn. All children struggle at some point. Most students access the curriculum with strong interventions delivered by a general education teacher. The problem is this: many of us have not been trained to clearly distinguish interventions from specially designed instruction. And as a result, Some students are placed into special education not because a disability prevents access, but because instruction was weak or misunderstood. Special education becomes the catch all, and that was never its purpose. Watch the full docuseries, What is the Purpose of Special Education, to see how this unfolds. Like, comment, and subscribe so in the next episode, we can begin understanding which students actually do qualify for special education and what schools are required to provide when they do.